Hello everyone, welcome to our webinar. I am Daita Sergi, Programs Coordinator with AASHE, and I'll be the moderator today. It is my pleasure to welcome you all. As many of you know, AASHE's mission is to inspire and catalyze higher education to lead the global sustainability transformation. AASHE members represent around 20% of the colleges and universities in the US, as well as institutions in 20 countries, including Finland and South Africa. You can learn more about AASHE on our newly designed website, www.aashe.org. We provide an extensive collection of online resources, networking tools, and educational events such as today's webinar and an annual conference and expo which will be held this year, October 15 to 18 in San Antonio, Texas. All prices and schedule at a glance are already available, so please visit conference.aashe.org for more information, and we hope to see you there. Just a few housekeeping notes before we get started. Everyone in the audience is on mute, but please feel free to ask questions or provide comments at any point during the presentations. You can do that by typing your comments or questions in the questions pane in the control panel on your screen. If you have additional questions after the webinar, please email them to webinars@aashe.org and we will get back to you. At the end of the webinar, you'll have the option to provide feedback regarding today's presentation. We take your suggestions into account when planning for future webinars, so please fill out this survey and thank you in advance for letting us know your thoughts. Please note this webinar is being recorded. If you experience technical difficulties or have to leave early, you and others can view the recording later. Presentation materials and additional resources will be available after the live broadcast as well. At this time, I'd like to introduce today's presenters. Dave Newport is the Director of the Environmental Center at the University of Colorado Boulder. Sarah Hoverston is Director of the Corporate Partnerships at Bonneville Environmental Fund. Monica Rowand, Sports Sustainability Team Leader, also at the University of Colorado Boulder, and Rocky Harris, Chief Operating Officer for Arizona State University Sun Devil. In the interest of time, I will not go over their bios, but you can find more information about the presenters on the AASHE website under this webinar listing. So finally, it is my pleasure to welcome you all. I will turn to Dave to get us started.
And good afternoon from sunny Boulder, Colorado. Check that, rainy and overcast Boulder, Colorado. Sorry about that. Have the sunny picture up for you. It's a pleasure to be here. Appreciate AASHE and the Green Sports Alliance working together to make this webinar possible, and AASHE for hosting it and promoting it, as they have in the past. The focus of today's webinar is in the title, and it's really about how sustainability professionals can use their sports platform to broaden their base and be more effective on their own campuses. To help me with that, as already introduced, the real talent, the other three presenters, Sarah, Monica, and Rocky, in that order. And I'm going to get out of the way as soon as possible and let you guys get on with the show. The Green Sports Alliance is 5-6 years old now, and so about half as old as AASHE, and is really dedicated to doing a base building approach to sustainability on the world's biggest platform. And in 5-6 short years, gone from didn't exist to participation by all of these teams, venues, leagues across 14 countries, and growing every day. And numerous collegiate members coming into this conversation as well. And many really good green sports leaders out there now in the college ranks. The Green Sports Alliance also produces an annual summit coming up in June at the beautiful LEED Platinum, brand new, off the grid, amazing NBA home of the Sacramento Kings. And we've got a fabulous program. It's going to be on the main basketball floor some amazing speakers and so forth. So to get more on all of this stuff, please come to the summit. Likewise, there's a pre-summit focusing entirely on college sports being sponsored by Pac-12. More on that in a minute. But again, back to why this works, it's because we're harnessing the power of sports, the biggest platform on the planet to use sports' unique influence over fans to hopefully to help drive their behavior towards sustainability. And it's a very eclectic fan base. It's not just folks that already believe in sustainability. It's people that are moving into this space. It's people that can be persuaded. And it's a bunch of them across all genders, incomes, social, cultural classes. And likewise, in the United States, this is sort of my good news, bad news graphic. There are more people dialed in on sports than there are in science. And so using sports for a sort of science-based message is a way to sort of sweeten the topic and, again, broaden your base by being heard across more of the campus, the community, and obviously the nation. And interestingly, just like the demographics breakout in campus sustainability, there's more receptivity towards sustainability messaging amongst female fans, which are a large fraction of sports. And so the traction that campus sustainability professionals can have enjoys that advantage of having sort of a gender benefit that and pitching from a gender benefit. I mean, more campus sustainability directors are female than male, and so forth down the list. It's a great place to essentially reach the decision makers in households and the influencers on campus and in community. The ladies. And so why are college athletics programs moving into this space? This is from a survey we did several years ago. Really interesting results that include, as number 3, cutting costs, which was, my assumption was that it'd be number 1. But when we really dug into it, what athletics departments were saying is that this is a way for athletics and the campus to meet on mutually beneficial goals. The campuses have strong sustainability goals. For athletics to show up there is good for athletics because it makes them more part of the campus, and they realize that. And so since 2014, we've had much more traction there. There are some barriers to that, and you can see 3 different surveys that have floated in the last few years of things that you need to address in terms of working with your athletics department to advance a sustainability agenda. And I think the middle one, negative reaction by the press and green programs just being a passing fad, were some of the more interesting ones. When we dug into those and unpacked those with the athletics departments, what that really meant was they didn't want to overstate. They didn't want to be accused of greenwashing. They didn't want to show up and not be legitimate in the space. If they were going to do it, they wanted to do it well. And after they sort of got it going, then start looking at promoting it and so forth. So there was a hesitancy to underperform in a space that they could be criticized for. And frankly, I respect the athletics departments for having that very ethical sentiment. This is a place for improvement, and this is something that I wanted to put in here for the sustainability professionals. As you can see, institutions' sustainability goals are somewhat short on including athletics in there, and so this is a place to begin the process of working with athletics is in your planning for the campus, and approach and engage athletics staff and professionals in the planning of sustainability goals for the campus. They feel like they have a part of the planning process, they feel like they'd be part of the solution and so forth, and it's not just somebody showing up saying you should be doing this. but it's part of planning campus-wide. So this is a barrier that sustainability professionals really need to address. It's making sure that they're aligned with athletics, and athletics understands their opportunity to be engaged in that conversation. Likewise, putting together green teams. Let's get some athletics folks on your campus green teams. Obviously, engagement and buy-in is critical to success, and getting those folks involved is fabulous. And so, back to our survey, what are athletics departments doing? As you can see, recycling. The ones that are doing stuff, they're doing recycling, 90%. And on down the list, the least thing done is just figuring out GHG emissions for fan travel. There is 4% of the campuses that are doing that. I know one of them, Go Gators, that are actually offsetting fan travel as part of their commitment to green sports. And as you can see, very few are. But everything in between, there's plenty of opportunities to move campus sustainability goals forward, interacting with your athletics department on these programs, which are running on the campus and in the community in many, many places. So I'm going to close out just with reminding that there is some more focus on the leadership being exhibited by the Pac-12. The day before the summit starts in Sacramento, we have the Pac-12 Sustainability Conference. This is sponsored and hosted by the Commissioner's Office. And so please attend that if you want some more, and then come to the summit and spend the week. There's going to be lots of college content. And likewise, this happened last year. The president rolled out National Green Sports Day on October 6th, and that will be sustained by the administration this year. So look for some major rollouts during Campus Sustainability Month, celebrating National Green Sports Day as well, inclusive of both pro sports and college sports activities. And it's another place to highlight what's happening on your campus, both during Campus Sustainability Month and the activities in your athletics department, and give them a reason to show up and be counted and appreciated. With that, Daita, I'm going to pass the baton back to you, and on now to the real talent. Thank you all very much for coming out today. I look forward to your questions later on.
Thank you, Dave. We'll turn now to Sarah.
Great. Thank you all, and thank you, Dave. Good afternoon from, for once, sunny Portland, Oregon. Not often that Portland is sunny and Boulder is not, but we have that today. It's really an honor to participate on this webinar today, and I thank AASHE for hosting it and Dave for pulling it together, and the panelists for joining us as well. If you excuse me, I'm on the tail end of a spring cold, so I'm a little bit stuffed up. I hope you can all hear me okay. As was mentioned, my name is Sarah Hoverson. I'm the Director of Corporate Partnerships for Bonneville Environmental Foundation. We're an environmental nonprofit. It's really working at the intersection of renewable energy and freshwater. Today I'm representing our Change the Course initiative, which is a freshwater conservation and restoration initiative. And really, athletics can be leveraged to address many campus sustainability pillars and initiatives. I'm going to talk about one issue area today, and that is water. And before I get into the how of engaging around that, I really want to tee up the why just a bit. By now, many of you have likely heard the phrase, water is the new oil, but less than 1% of the planet's water supply is both fresh and accessible to us. And water is in everything we eat, we drink, we wear, we buy. In fact, the average American has an embedded water footprint of about 2,000 gallons a day, which is a pretty shocking number if you think about that. And that means that the U.S. water footprint is 2 times larger than the global average. So due to overconsumption and drought and other factors, our freshwater sources are really at risk. And in order to work towards a secure water future, we really need to do 2 things. The first is to shrink our collective water footprint, both on the individual level and on the corporate level, and 2 is restore water to nature. So our Change the Course initiative is really designed to do just that. Partners work with us to go beyond their 4 walls and invest in environmental water stewardship and restoring water to nature, and also using their platforms to engage stakeholders in the water conservation and restoration messaging. And then we work directly with on-the-ground NGOs to restore water to nature, support projects for economic, environmental, and recreational benefits. To date, we have engaged over 35 corporate partners, funded over 35 projects across 11 U.S. states and Mexico, and have restored over 8 billion gallons of fresh water to critically depleted rivers, streams, and ecosystems across the country. Just to give you a sense of some of the organizations who are participating in this and really thinking about their broader environmental water stewardship strategy and really going beyond their four walls, here are some of our partners we work with. You'll know a number of both professional sports and university partners on this list. And we have, although we work with all of these great partners who are doing some good work on the water side, we've really found the most productive ways to engage, to broaden the water conservation and restoration messaging is really through two platforms. First is professional sports, and the other is universities. So this shows a really great reason why we're talking to you here today. and why to engage from the university perspective in to engage athletics to create some sort of this activation around a number of issues. This one, water in particular, is a couple reasons. The first is to actually balance your environmental impact. Similar to how you can purchase RECs to support renewable energy or offsets to mitigate emissions, we have a product that's the Water Restoration Certificate, and that allows you to balance the unavoidable water footprint of an organization and really, balance the impact that you're having. Talk about balancing that impact. You can even earn LEED credit points for that, and thinking about our impact on water the similar way we're thinking about electricity and carbon. These sorts of engagements also are a really great way to leverage the creativity influence of the athletics brand and really engage the community and fans, other stakeholders in this messaging that we're trying to get across that's kind of part of the comprehensive sustainability efforts that are existing on campus. And then finally, a very important one is a way to create really unique sponsorable opportunities. So creating a platform to engage sponsors in helping to support the sustainability initiatives underway, and then also leverage their brand alongside that of the university athletics brand to be able to spread the message even further. Really great storytelling elements there. So we've worked with a number of different universities and athletics programs to create unique campaigns that are very engaging and also really rooted in that sound environmental efforts that is really the most important piece. So I'm going to go over three kind of quick case studies with you guys today. One of them being CU Boulder and the other ASU. So you'll hear a little bit more in depth from both of those and further on in this webinar. So first being CU Boulder, and working with Dave and his team created the Water for the Less initiative. There's really three main components of this initiative. The first is balancing the impact of athletics. The second is engaging fans in this sort of messaging. And then third is creating a community program and hands-on opportunity for students. So with Dave, the athletics department has balanced their entire annual water footprint, which is the first university to do so. And then partnering and creating this activation with corporate partner Wells Fargo, they activated the Water for the Less water conservation messaging across 9 men's, women's, and men's basketball games over the past 2 years, and engaged fans in that messaging through text platforms and on social media. And between the gallons restored for balancing their water footprint, as well as 1,000 gallons matched by Change the Course for each fan text pledge made, CU has helped to restore over 36 million gallons of fresh water to the Colorado River Basin over the past 2 years. So as you can see that there is some incredible impact that's being made on the environmental side, an engaging campaign that's happening, and this collective impact storytelling opportunity that they have created. What was really cool about what CU did is going beyond the campaign activation side and creating their FLOWS program. And the FLOWS program is Foundations for Organizing Leaders for Water and Sustainability. And it is an opportunity to engage students in outside in the community. They're installing energy and water efficient appliances in affordable housing units and with low-income residents. And this really got kicked off in January 2016, and it's providing green job skills and other exposure opportunities for the students. And they were able to leverage one of our other Change of Course partners, Kohler, to get these 75 efficient low-flow plumbing toilets donated that then they were able to install in the community. So it's really talking about a comprehensive water stewardship effort and strategy that's taking the engagement in athletics out into the community and really providing opportunities for students is such a great example of what we're looking to do here. So next example is ASU, and ASU created the very cleverly named Make It Rain ASU campaign that they activated during 2 football games in this fall. They used a neat move booth, photo booth, GIF booths to engage fans in this messaging. For every picture taken, it was a fan pledge to conserve water and do their part. Change Course then matched all of those fan pledges, and so the course of this activation, ASU and fans contributed to 5 million gallons of water being restored directly in Arizona. We're supporting Arizona water restoration projects through this effort. And then just last month, we worked with the Final Four in Phoenix on their Drop in Buckets for Arizona campaign. And we pulled together a very diverse set of partners, including the local organizing committee, SRP, which is the local utility, ASU School of Sustainability, and the National Forest Foundation to create a first of its kind water conservation and restoration impact built around the Final Four tournament. So similarly to other engagements, the tournament balanced the water footprint of the event itself. We created a fan engagement activation using the same move booth that ASU had used and activated in 3 different locations across the entire weekend on that, and delivering the message to fans about water issues, particularly in Arizona, what they can do to conserve on their own part. And then for their participation, we are also restoring 1,000 gallons of water back in the Arizona projects. But even more, and going a bit further, the project partners came together to support a legacy water restoration project in the Black River's headwater in northern Arizona, and then also engaged on Earth Day. National Forest Foundation took all the project partners and a number of their employees out for a hands-on volunteer opportunity in the watershed, moving invasive species, getting exposed to the kind of on-the-ground work that is happening. And that was a really fruitful event, I think, for all who attended and participated. And on pictures on the restoration. So really, why create these sorts of partnerships? Why work with the university to not only deliver on your environmental sustainability goals across the university, but also leverage that brand to communicate what you guys are doing at the university and engage the community in that same kind of conservation messaging is really 2 main points. One, you're addressing real issues through a campaign like Change of Course and others that are out there. You're not only promoting the necessary conservation and stewardship messaging, but you're actually directly impacting on-the-ground environmental work. So every campaign that the university is athletics is activating is actually rooted and supported by direct environmental change and on-the-ground impact that's being made. And then 2, probably most importantly, is you're really creating this platform of shared value for the university, for the community, and for sponsors who are necessary to and support all these initiatives, messages, and between sponsor and athletics brands, there's really no better platform to get the message out there, to share what you're doing in the university, and also hopefully engage more people in the stewardship messaging that we're looking to move forward. So that is all I have for now, and I'm looking forward to questions at the end. So I'll turn it back over to you, Dinah, as well.
Thank you, Sarah. We'll turn to Monica now.
Oh, sorry, y'all. Okay. Hi, everybody. I am Monica Rowand, the team lead for Ralphie's Green Stampede, the University of Colorado's sports sustainability program. Just wanted to echo everyone so far and say thank you to you all for joining us and allowing us to talk about this thing we call green sports today. So let's get started. University of Colorado has a program called Ralphie's Green Stampede, which was the first collegiate sports sustainability program in the NCAA. Ralphie's Green Stampede, or RGS, which I might refer to it moving forward, was established in 2008 in the very beginnings of a zero waste program. It was a joint program and still is between the university's environmental center and the athletic department. Now in 2017, in addition to being zero waste, which means that during all football and basketball games, every place that you would think to find a trash can, it's replaced with a zero waste station, recycling and compost bins only. So it's any fan or someone in a public spot would be hard pressed to find a bin that sends stuff to landfill on game day. So again, that started in 2008. We now are happy to say we're also zero pesticide, so no pesticides are used on any of the campus's greenery, but that includes the athletics facilities as well. Zero carbon, we began offsetting athletics carbon emissions in 2016. Zero water, which thank you, Sarah, for explaining the Water for the West program so well. So we have a zero water footprint by offsetting athletics water use through the purchase of water restoration certificates, which is tied to fan engagement activations, which I'll explain more, Sarah explained, and I'll explain more moving forward. And then also this past football season, we opened, or CU Athletics opened, the indoor practice facility, which is a net zero practice facility, the first of its kind, which is pretty awesome and we're really proud of. So just an overview of beautiful sunny Boulder. Dave mentioned it's not sunny today, but you can get a look at, so if you can see my mouse here, this is where basketball and volleyball take place, and this here is where football takes place. So you see we have about 1 megawatt worth of solar capacity on those buildings. Across our facilities, we have 3 LEED certified buildings. So that's the Coors Event Center, the practice facility for basketball and volleyball, as well as the indoor practice facility for football. So we have all of this stuff. We've really worked hard to get what we call our house in order to demonstrate and role model sustainability. But our goal is to use that and use that role modeling to encourage Buff fans to follow suit at home, work, and play. This has really become our motto for our messaging is, what kind of Buff will you be, not just in the stadium, but outside at home, work, and play as well. So we do this in various ways, including on game days for in-venue activations. 1 game per year, both in football and basketball, we have a sustainable game day where there is extra activation, extra in-game PA announcements and videos played, telling fans about what the Buffs do to be sustainable and giving them suggestions on what they can do at home. We have a zero waste tailgate zone outside of football games, in-stadium goalies that stand by all the zero waste stations, instructing fans how to recycle and compost properly, as well as, like I mentioned, video board and PA announcements, on-court games, and concourse activities as well. And then we also activate digitally through traditional channels like Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And then also what is a little more unique to our program is a text platform, which we started with for Water for the West, which Sarah explained. So we ask fans to pledge their commitment to save water at home, work, and play. And they do that by sending a text to our text number. And then we're able to communicate with them throughout the season, reminding them about their pledge, giving them ideas to save water, etc. So for a lot of schools, athletics is really the door to the university, and it's a great opportunity for us to form a partnership that, one, as Dave mentioned, provides an opportunity for athletics and the university to align on a mission and a goal. It also gives athletics an additional area for increased community engagement and purpose, and then expands the reach of campus sustainability messaging. So we're able, through the Environmental Center, to get our messaging out to a larger audience as well. So we're using sustainability to bring, or using this Ralphie's Green Stampede to bring sustainability to fans through these activations. This picture here with the little green top is on Sustainable Game Day during football, giving away compost caddies to fans so that they can start composting more easily at home. And then also bringing students to games. It allows an opportunity for students who may otherwise not be engaged in athletics activities to see what's going on, volunteer, get to games, and really get bought into things that are going on across campus. This is all part of a bigger play for us to foster a sense of community on campus, and we're really trying to leverage the power of sustainability to do just that. Create a sense of pride in not only the Buffs who are doing pretty well now, but also the Buffs who are leading the way in sustainability. So some lessons learned throughout the years on these programs for anyone, whether you're just starting or whether you're rock stars in this space, are really, number one takeaway is that this working on sustainability, and especially when you're going to start messaging to your fans and not just doing internal operational things, is you really have to be in it for the long haul, meaning that a one-time activation or a one-time campaign won't really do it if you're in it for causing sustainable behavior change. And that's because the fans, like Dave mentioned in his intro, really showing authenticity and wanting to show that the sports organization really means what they're saying. They need to represent that. So really planning out strategic fan engagement operations over an entire season is something that you'll need to be committed to. And then also, it's really important to partner with the athletic department. We get a lot of our best engagement when we leverage those channels that they have, like the athletic department social media channels. And it also just helps to bring the two departments, athletics as well as environment here at CU, the Environmental Center, together. So thank you so much, and we'll pass it on to Rocky.
All right, thank you very much. I'm excited to be here today and talk about what we're doing in Sun Devil Athletics. And one thing I will say is that for us, it really starts at the top. Our athletics director, Ray Anderson, is committed to this, and so that makes it easy on all of us who are advocates. He's also on the Green Sports Alliance board. And what I'll say is that if you don't have somebody at the top, like an athletics director who cares about this, find advocates within the department, and they can push it from the ground up. That's something I've seen in sports as well, is that if enough employees get on board with it, it's bound to happen over time. So what have we done in Sun Devil Athletics to be sustainable? We were named the most sustainable athletics department in the country last year, And as we go through these slides, you'll see why we were awarded that and why we continue to try to elevate what we're doing. So we've had zero waste at all ticketed sporting events. Front-facing zero waste originated at our venues on campus, and Sun Devil Stadium is the most trafficked venue on campus, so we like the exposure that it brings. We also lead the way with sending the message on zero waste to the rest of the university. And every ticketed sport here in Sun Devil Athletics hosts a green game to put promotion behind the zero waste initiative. We've seen a diversion results in the 90% range when the events are publicized. Men's basketball, baseball, and softball handed out tank tops made from recycled water bottles. And we've created zero waste refillable cups that you can purchase at the concessionaires for $12, but you get free refills at any and all ASU sporting events. So we created a smart suite last year where we were in collaboration with the University Technology Office and with Intel, where we gathered data within Sun Devil Stadium. It helped improve the fan experience, but more importantly, it helped us predict consumption of energy and helped us respond in real time to needs of our fans that help impact energy waste. And this year, we're creating a nest with smart energy to measure water consumption and energy consumption of our concessionaires, suites, and fan areas. And so what that does for us is not only allow us to see where we're wasting energy, but also good for future RFPs so we can build them in and use the data to be able to measure and talk with our partners to get them on board with what we're trying to accomplish here at ASU. So obviously it's sunny here. Sorry for the folks in Portland, but we do have 300+ days of sunshine. And we like to harness the local resources to create energy. We have the most solar panels of any university in the country, and as you'll see in a little while, we also have many on our athletics facilities. So here's our softball stadium, and as you see, we have fan amenities with a shade, but they're solar panels that are shading our fans. We have 9 of our athletics facilities have solar panels, and also the parking areas where fans tailgate have solar panels as well as shading. So it gives us a chance to educate our fans, give them an amenity, and then also offset energy. LED lighting. Wells Fargo Arena was the first operational LED lit Power 5 athletic facility in the nation. We increased the lighting levels by 25% and reduced energy consumption by 75%. So the experience was better, and we also offset energy. It exceeds the brightness levels mandated for NCAA broadcast standards, so there's really no excuse. And lighting levels factor into NCAA championship selections for ASU, and we've had a total 10-year savings with the new lighting of $357,000. So there's great value and lots of ways for doing this. Sarah talked a lot about the water restoration project, and while I can go through all the data she already has, thank you for doing that. But we learned some lessons out of that, and one is that we are in the middle of renovating our stadium, and Wi-Fi only worked in about half of our stadium, but we were still able to reach 4,100 fans and offset 4.1 million gallons of water in one game. Also feel for Sarah, because what we learned through that process would be better for us to streamline our processes internally, because she had to deal with many people on campus. So I think in the future what we'll do is identify one stakeholder who works with these external groups to make it easy on them as we partner with them. So why partnering with athletics, why it's important? So of course there's a wide group of individuals that identify as sports fans. Over 60% of Americans are avid sports fans, or approximately 200 million people. We have a potential to reach a huge cross-section of the public, and there's really, it crosses all political and ideological boundaries. So we have a great forum, a great place for us to talk to fans where it doesn't feel like we're forcing anything down their throats. So the potential impact, it can impact a large group of people. We had over 850,000 fans attended our events last year. Our events are broadcast on national television. Football games average over 2 million fans watching. We're a member of the Pac-12 Conference, a Power 5 conference with the ability to weigh influence on public policy. And we love using our venues and our reach to be able to speak about something that we care about deeply in Sun Devil Athletics. So why do we prioritize sustainability? Well, of course, it's a top-down approach, as I mentioned, but Dr. Crow, our president, believes in this. Our athletics director believes in this, and it really trickles down to the rest of the staff. So that makes it really easy on us to support it. We have also key figures throughout the institution, and it's something that we believe in. We set metrics around it and goals, and we love in athletics mimicking what our university is doing. We also created the first sustainability school in the country, and so it's something that we've been behind as an institution, and we also are in athletics as well. So this gives us a platform, as I've mentioned. We understand that athletics, because of our elevated profile, is a platform that can be used to spread awareness of sustainable practices and a tool to educate fans on ways to be sustainable as well. An example of our exposure and our reach in athletics and how it impacts the institution. After we won our last Rose Bowl, or went to our last Rose Bowl, applicants to the school increased by 15%, and the year before it was only increased by 0.5%. So we know that we can impact it, so why not use that reach to better our community? So how do we promote sustainability overall? Collaboration is key, and this is a photo of a softball game. If you see the Zero Waste logo right there behind home plate. So there's the exposure piece of it. We also have convened a quarterly think tank with representatives from athletics and sustainability. We learn how decisions are made, barriers, monetization of assets, what previously worked, what didn't work, and discuss those things. And there is group represented throughout all of campus: athletics communications and marketing, sustainability communications, sustainability practices, zero waste, concessionaires, cleaning, vendor, athletics facilities, operations, and a campus liaison as well. We worked with Zero Waste during the reinvention of our Sun Devil Stadium to redesign flow of our recycling and compost sorting system to make the process more efficient. So how to grow sustainability in all of athletics? So there's some perceived impediments by athletic directors, and many athletic directors, I would say, don't understand it, so we need to educate them on the value here, not only the values, but the value to them. So it's an allocation of resources they see as an impediment. They also think it costs too much money to implement these programs, and also manpower requires a lot of human resource time, and so you really have to get them to understand the value, which there are. And there's a ton of value in sponsorships. Sponsorship dollars, this is something where companies that are aligned with sustainability practices, this is an area within their budget that isn't typically a part of their marketing budget. So you can get additional revenue through your existing sponsors and find new sponsors that you can align with. I know this firsthand because when I worked in professional sports at the Houston Dynamo, we sold our jersey sponsorship to Green Star Recycling, which has since been bought by Waste Management. We sold it for $12.7 million over 5 years, a significant amount of money. But more importantly, they were the first single-stream recycling company in Houston. It allowed us to educate our fans. We had a recycling center on site at the stadium that we built. We integrated back-of-house composting that was then used for fertilizer for a garden that was started at our training facility. And then we also hosted recycling drives in the neighborhood. And of course, the facility was LEED certified, which was also a great way for us to talk about our partnership with Green Star at the time. So we incorporated into contracts, something that's really important to us going forward. We're incorporating provisions for sustainability practices in our RFPs. We've also focused on the elasticity of change in sustainability and reflect similar growth expectations for contractors. So if you set expectations on your partners, if you align yourself with the right partners, you can use them to reach your goals, but you can also align with the right partners and more money will come your way. And it's more efficient. You'll actually save money along the way as well. So the social impact, which is important to all of us, I know on this call, social impact and responsibility, and in addition to providing a mechanism for oversight and accountability, sustainability practices provide another pride point for the university and offers PR value and really awareness to make a difference in our community. And so that's something that in athletics that we pride ourselves in, and that we're really trying to push other institutions, other athletics departments around the country to join us. That's it. I think we're going to move on to questions if anyone has any questions.
Thank you so much to all the presenters for sharing your information with us. Before we go to Q&A, I'd like to remind all the attendees that you can submit questions for the panelists via the questions pane on the GoToWebinar control panel. So we already have a few questions, so I will start with those. So maybe we'll start with Sarah. Sarah, here is your question. I'm not totally understanding how fan pledges and/or retweets about water actually restores gallons of water. How are these restoration metrics being calculated? I believe there was mention of a match program. Could you expand on the details for how water is actually saved via fan engagement?
Sure, absolutely. Very good question. And there's kind of two pieces that we were talking about too, and probably not very clearly. One is the balancing of a venue, event, game, season, water footprint, and then the other is a campaign mechanism of 1,000 gallons restored for X commitment or pledge. And it's really based on what I mentioned and Monica mentioned briefly, the water restoration certificate. And this is a product of Bonneville Environmental Foundation, and it is it represents 1,000. Each WRC represents 1,000 gallons of water restored. And how we generate those is we fund and work with the on-the-ground nonprofit groups doing restoration, whether that's through agriculture efficiencies, water efficiencies, dam removal, habitat preservation, and other ways where they can volumetrically measure the amount of gallons that are being saved in the river, and we call that restored or being kept kind of in the river in our watersheds. So we're able to parse those out into 1,000-gallon increments. Each one of those WRCs is third-party verified by the National Fish and Wildlife Foundation, and we retire it on the market just like a rec or an offset. And that kind of product or tool is what we use to do two things. One, balance the footprint of these teams, venues, leagues, events, what have you. So they, Dave at CU was able to calculate and understand the entire water footprint of the athletics department. And based on that gallon number, they purchased the equivalent number of WRCs needed to balance that out. With that money, then we invest in those NGOs who are doing the on-the-ground work and producing those volumetric savings, which we're able to match up with the water restoration certificates. So we've used that same mechanism and tool for the campaign itself. We have done, as I mentioned, through corporate support and others, we've restored over 8 billion gallons of water already to the ecosystem. And so we have a number of these 1,000-gallon increments in WRCs that we can use as this mechanism for matching the fan or pledges that are made. And then what each one of these programs have done is help to create the water conservation campaign and messaging. And that's messaging around people's embedded water footprint, what they can do day to day to conserve water on their own side. And then we ask them to make that pledge to conserve with us. And based on the needs and the desires of the university, of the team, and potentially the sponsors, we determine what that action they will take to make their conservation pledge would be. So in the case of ASU, it was participating in the photo booth and verbally committing, I'm going to conserve water. With CU Boulder, it was texting for each one of those texts. And then based on those numbers that we see, change the course, and BEF promises to match that and restore that with 1,000 gallons of water that we're already restoring on our end. So it's really just a free pledge. It's an incentive for people to do their part. Obviously, we know that we aren't tracking that actual behavior change that they're saying, but we're hoping that the exposure to understanding their water footprint, ways that they can conserve, and kind of making a little bit of a public commitment to that is enough to begin to educate and change the behavior of what they're doing, and then we want to honor that with the gowns that we are doing restoring. I hope that was a sufficient explanation.
Yep, actually, the person who has said thank you for the answer, so they were pleased.
Perfect.
We have you, on the mic. Can you also tell us where do you have water restoration projects across the country? Can activations only take place where you have water projects already in place?
Yes. So Change the Course started as a pilot with our project partners, National Geographic, Participant Media, and BEF, and really we piloted it in the Colorado River Basin. And so through that, we have projects all throughout Colorado, Utah, Arizona, and Southern California, also in the Delta in Mexico, and have since, after the success of that, have expanded that. So we have a significant number of projects still in that River Basin area, as well as in Oregon, Washington, Montana, Texas, and we've just recently expanded into Georgia, and have a few projects also in the Mid-Atlantic and kind of Eastern Great Lakes area. So we are always expanding, scouting projects that we can invest in kind of across the country. The more partners we have, obviously, and interest in different areas, the more we can do direct engagement work in that area. But you don't necessarily have to be in the area to have this impact. So a number of our partners, especially the professional sports leagues, NHL and MLB included, balance their water footprint and activate the Change the Course campaign and purchase the water restoration certificates and talk about restoring water really on the national level. And so we do that through support of our whole portfolio of water restoration projects. However, if you do want to have an direct local regionalized impact based on the investment from the university and from a potential sponsor, we are happy to scout and scope and invest in local projects too, so you can have that local impact and also tell a localized story.
Thank you. The next question will address to Dave and Monica, but feel free, Sarah and Rocky, to also provide an answer. What is the contamination rate in the zero waste stadiums? How do you prevent contamination from the waste stream?
So, Dave here. Contamination rates are proportional to the provision of adequate zero waste stations, how well they are staffed with goalies. As you saw, Rocky had goalies at their zero waste stations at ASU. We do as well. And then proportional to post-game processing. And so I think those are the three key things, is having good stations, having them well signed and staffed, and then there's a certain measure of cleanup that happens on the other side, because invariably in a big game and so forth, stuff happens, and you end up with recycling in the trash bag, or trash in the recycling bag, or all of it in the compost bag, and so forth. So this is also an opportunity for engagement. You can engage volunteers, as I presume all stadiums do, to help with staffing of the goalies on the zero waste stations. And likewise, we get volunteers, and we also pay some staff to do post-game processing, where we literally go through all the bags that come out of the stadium and make sure that everything is in the right place. It's actually quite a fun event. Just imagine sorting garbage with your friends as a fun event. It can happen, and that's what gets you to the high recycling rates. In terms of or diversion rates, I would direct anyone who's interested to Google EPA Game Day Challenge and look at the diversion rates of some of the schools that are participating. are hitting the winners. Ohio University last year, along with Eastern Washington, hit 95.6% diversion rate. That is phenomenal. Duke at 92, Rochester at 91, on down the list. So the top 5 schools in the diversion rate category were at the EPA definition of zero waste, that is over 90%. And the following 5 were doing damn good as well. So you can accept, in compost, you can accept some level of contamination even in the bags that leave the stadium and go to the composter. It depends on the municipal composter you're using, what level of contamination is acceptable in a compost bag. In a recycling bag, same thing applies, depends on the nature of the MRF that the recycling bags are going to. Single stream MRFs routinely pull out tons of contamination out of recycling bags. North of 20% can be contamination in a single stream bag, well north of 20% in some places. And some or all of that is pulled out, again, depending on the nature of the MRF where they're doing the sorting. That's what I know about contamination rates.
Monica, would you like to?
Oh, yeah, Dave pretty much covered what we do to take care of contamination at CU, but the biggest things being signage, proper signage on the zero waste stations. It helps, especially when they're made specifically for the stadium. So pictures of what is available at your stadium's concession stands on that signage so fans can make that direct match and put things in the correct cans. And then also the zero waste goalies standing by the stations to help fans when they're confused about what goes into which bin, and then the post-game sorts, so the physical sorting of the compost, which we do at the end of every football game and then 3 basketball games.
Thank you. The next question is for Rocky and Dave. Most of the schools that are present on the webinar today are located in the West or live in more progressive states. What advice do you have for schools that are in states with a more conservative outlook and their athletics program have no interest in partnering with sustainability?
Rocky, go for it.
Yeah, you know, I do hear this quite a bit from my colleagues across the country, and I know I mentioned this earlier in the talk, is you know, finding advocates within the department. I know that sometimes that's hard to do, but if you find a few employees who really believe in it, they can start small and then grow from there. I would also reach out to their outside of the department, athletics department, and reach out to if they have a sustainability department or facilities department and try to get them on board. But I would look for advocates. What I've seen in pro sports, even at a place where I worked that had very conservative leadership, once they found out that it saves you money and makes you money, they end up getting on board pretty quick. So you might want to change the conversation from a social impact to an economic impact. And that can resonate with even people who don't believe in what we're talking about here.
Yeah, you know, that's great advice. The only thing I would add to that is there are great examples of great green sports programs east of Mississippi. I'm thinking of Ohio State. Fabulous efforts they're doing there. They have dialed in leadership, and obviously it's a great university. And they built their program really around excellence. And that's a theme that any good university or college is about, is excellence. So yeah, cost savings and revenues sure help. Excellence is something no one can, you know, sort of run from. Likewise, the University of Florida, the Gators are doing fabulous work in this space. As I indicated earlier, they're the only ones that I know that are offsetting fan travel to the sports stadiums. They're doing a number of other things as well with renewables and LEED buildings and so forth, and they've been doing it for a long time. And the athletic director at the time that was ushered in, Jeremy Foley, who recently retired after zillion years as one of the most respected ADs in the country. It was really excellence that did it for him because he felt like the Gator athletic program should be excellent in every respect. And likewise, some key alumni came to him and said that this was a thing. So the alumni channel, I think, is something that works. Obviously, Florida is a conservative state, and got it broke loose, and then piloting. They piloted it, and Jeremy literally went around to the alumni in the clubs and suites on game day at the Swamp and asked them how they liked at first the zero waste approach. Everything was in compostables and so forth, and all the comments that came back were very, very positive. And so basically he piloted it, he tested it, the alumni loved it, he figured out there's really no downside to this, you can save money, good for excellence and good for alumni relations. So, and I know, frankly, that a lot of the ADs, like Ray at ASU, are frankly happy to be advocates to other athletics programs. So I'm volunteering Rocky here to be the liaison. If any of our folks on the webinar today want somebody to talk to their AD, I suspect if you ask Rocky, he might be able to hook up a phone call from Ray.
Yeah, I'd absolutely be able to do that. And I would also recommend, just to add to the alumni piece, if you do have relationships within the donor relations area, what we've done too is you can cross-reference alumni who work at key environmental companies, and they can become advocates, just like Dave said, on your behalf. We also, we do our own sponsorships here, so it's different. But IMG or many of the third party rights holders, I would really talk to them at that level because they see value in it, and get them to advocate at the department, again, for economic reasons.
Thank you both. So now that you talked about funding, how do you actually pay for greening? Are sponsorships mostly funding this work? How do you get sponsors? Dave, would you like to take this question? Or Rocky?
I can start it off. I'm sure Rocky's got plenty of ammo as well. Definitely sponsorship helps. And this is a place, and so thank you for bringing this subject up. This is a place where the campus sustainability professionals that are not aligned with athletics, but work on sustainability on campus, can be really, really helpful in bringing in sponsors because they know that the vendors that are in the sustainability realm better, obviously, than the athletics folks do or their rights holders. And so my suggestion is for campus sustainability professionals to, first of all, go find out who is selling sponsorships on your campus. As Rocky indicated, it's usually a third party. Usually they call them multimedia rights holders. Learfield, IMG are the big dude. And go find the sales folks and say, hey, I'm thinking about this company over here that might want to sponsor something. If there was something to sponsor, what can we do to help create some assets, some capacity? And I'll help you. I know Joe over here at XYZ Recycling. And so basically start working with your sales team, because the sales team, as Rocky indicated, they probably don't, and the ADs, they don't know this language, they don't know this market as well as the sustainability professionals do. Having that partnership is key. That said, finding sponsors that want to align with this is team effort. You have to have an asset to sell. And so, just suggesting a few phone calls is one thing, but really getting in there with your athletics department and your rights holders and helping create programs and assets that first save money for the department and secondly can be monetized in the form of bringing in some sponsorship revenues. That's what campus sustainability professionals can really bring to this, and it is what is required on many, many campuses because the sales folks don't know this market, don't know the language, and likewise down the list. That's the biggest impediment, in my view, to being successful in terms of bringing more campuses into this realm, is bringing together those key stakeholder groups, the campus sustainability people, and the athletics and sponsorship folks. So we've done a little bit of selling here. doing 6 figures in sponsorship, green sponsorship sales every year to sponsor just the green aspects of our athletics program. And I know Rocky is doing well at ASU as well, but has a different approach to how those are sold. So Rocky, I'll pass it to you.
Yeah, so I'm lucky enough. I worked actually not only on the property side, but also I was oversaw sponsorships for a Fortune 200 company. And we always wanted to align our brands with sports teams and athletics departments that had values that were aligned with ours. So when I lived in Texas, which is a very conservative state, NRG, which is an electricity company, which was Reliant Stadium when I managed the naming rights there, did a naming rights with the Houston Texans facility for $300 million over 30 years. And most of our activation was around what we were doing good for the community. So we spent a lot of money on how much we were offsetting with electricity, green energy, and spent a lot of our activation dollars on that. I know that's a big number, but when I was with the Houston Dynamo, we again I mentioned the jersey partnership that was $12 million over 5 years, but we also did our naming rights with BBVA Compass Stadium, which was $20 million over 10 years, and their entire platform was around social responsibility. And so we use sustainability is one of the core elements in the agreement. So what it does is if you look at companies and you understand the companies that are really focused on this space, you can go and talk to them about shared values, and that message resonates more than impressions, more than everything else. And one thing from a tactical level you can do on campus is you can find out who's doing business with the university, and that's a great place to start. Who's doing business with the university? Then you can do research on which ones care about this space, and then you go talk to them about what you're trying to do. And then you can activate the sponsorships through signage. I mean, we have recycling containers in our stadium where there are signage opportunities there. We also do community outreach and recycling initiatives. And so those can all be sponsored names. So their name, their company's name, their brand will be aligned with, and it's a way for them to express their values to a very large audience. And so I think that it's across college athletics, it's an underutilized asset. In pro sports, they figured this out and they've been able to monetize it for a long time. So I think it's just something that if you pay attention to it, just like you do many other things in your business, it's low-hanging fruit.
Thank you. The next question. Many of these programs are higher-up collaborations with athletic facilities and environmental departments. I'm wondering if any of your initiatives have led to direct involvement or championing by coaches or athletics. In other words, bottom-up led initiatives. Dave?
So I think at the end of the day, students are where everything starts. And it was the students of this university, CU Boulder, that were pushing for recycling in the beginning. Actually, this is the first campus where recycling ever happened. And then years later, they were pushing for recycling and so forth in athletics, and started unilaterally doing recycling in sort of wildcat tailgate lots and so forth, and it really started outside the security perimeter of athletics, but nonetheless, it was a grassroots effort from the beginning. And so to this day, the students show up every Saturday, and Monica knows well, she coordinated them to help make things happen. And having that as a partner base and a labor base and an engagement base is obviously very comforting to the athletics program, knowing that A, the students care and they're responding to their customer, and B, they'll show up and work and make things happen. As it relates to engaging athletes, it's great when it happens. There's a lot of barriers to getting athletes involved in this, mostly compliance barriers. We've had some athletes that have been advocates for us, and it's fabulous because, again, they have much more high-profile position and receptivity to make their pitch from. They're also students, and the student athletes I think connect more broadly to other students and likewise to the fans. But that's a hard thing to do, and maybe Rocky can talk about some of the barriers to getting athletics or athletes involved. I'm sure he's got the same issues.
You know, we've worked with our compliance department to be able to promote and activate these games, and our athletes. You know, it's mostly through promotions. If we find athletes, which really with this generation, I think Dave made a really good point. The students, that generation, regardless of political ideology, care about the environment, care about the future, care about clean air, clean energy. So when we talk to our student athletes, if they want to be a spokesperson for this, it's really not that complicated as long as we don't have, they're not out there selling a company's products. So we actually had a gymnast when we first started launching our green initiatives, who was a spokesperson in videos and others, and it really resonated with our fans. So I think if you work with the compliance department, it's really not that hard to include student athletes in the promotions of these games and your initiatives as well.
Yeah, and that reminds me that the legitimacy aspect is really key here, and Rocky mentioned it also in how you solicit sponsorships and talk with your corporate partners. We had an athlete who was kind enough to help us, coincidentally, with the Water for the West program that Sarah spoke about. And she was a big soccer star. She's actually playing for the under-20 women's national team now. She's just this huge, literally very tall and excellent soccer player, who had a legitimate story that we rolled into a video and got it passed by compliance. And the story really went to the water issue, because her story was that she grew up on the Colorado River, actually in eastern Utah, and over her lifetime has noticed, obviously, that the Colorado River doesn't flow as much as it used to, and so forth. And so her personal legitimacy in the space of the Water for the West program and how we were activating to try and restore flow to the river, conserve water when we had to, and so forth, I thought it was a total home run ball, and people really loved it. I don't know if we get as solid alignment as that every time we go into this business, but if we did, I'd be rolling a video out every 10 minutes because it was just fabulous advocacy from students to students.
Thank you. We actually have a question about communication. So once athletics has adopted sustainable practices, how do we get the communication side to buy into the promotion of the university and athletic sustainable initiatives?
I'm going to suggest Rocky take this one, because he's got Maggie Emmons working on communications at ASU, and they're just crushing it. They're doing this better than anybody.
Yeah, so as Dave said, yeah, we have a focus on this and actually have Maggie in the room here, so she could probably answer it better than me. But it's something that it's probably unfair for me to answer it because I'm a believer and somebody who cares about this. So again, I push this down as one of our important priorities. But we really look at it as a value. So we, through our website, social posts, through all of our communication mediums, we really push this message out because it's important. So, you know, the buy-in from athletics on the operational side is important too. So it's not only about communications through those digital channels and through media, it's also in-game. And I think the key there is to find a sponsor who believes in it and have the sponsor say that they want to promote their initiative. And then that way, even if you don't have an advocate like me in the department, they will communicate it and push it out in a big way because the sponsor's asking for it. So that's another way to reach it. But once you have buy-in and push it really with the marketing and communications department, promoting it across campus is probably the easiest thing. So you can work with your public affairs department too to use not only athletics channels to communicate it, but also the university as well.
And I know Monica's had some experience with the social side of this and engaging fans as well. So, Monica, what are your big takeaways from this one?
Yeah, I would just add from the environmental center side or from the sustainability or campus side, really finding the key people within athletics who's in charge of making those decisions, getting a meeting with them, sitting down, figuring out what, as simple as it sounds, but really figuring out the athletics department's communications guidelines, whether that be the types of words they use, the content that they support, the fonts and colors they use, and making sure that whatever you're creating and asking athletics to promote, you're really in line with their brand, because athletics is a brand, and so you don't want to stray from that. But so work with them, figure out what they want, and then make it fit the athletic story as opposed to the other way around.
Yeah, I think the short answer is just to continue heaping earned praise on ASU. The short answer to this is to have a Maggie Edmonds on your staff and a Rocky and a Ray running the athletics department, working for a president like Michael Crow, and you'd be in great shape.
Thank you. We are getting to the end of our questions. I have one more that I will ask for all of you. So I'd like to remind all of our attendees, if they have any other question to ask, now is the time to submit it. Here is my last question for now. What was the tipping point that swayed the major athletics programs to currently buy into sustainability? And what is the carrot to incentivize other major players to make the positive change? Maybe we'll start with Dave and Monica, then go to Sarah and end with Rocky.
Well, the tipping point at, and there was a lot of things that led up to it, but the tipping point at CU Boulder was an enlightened athletic director, and we still have one. We had one then, and we have another one now. So I think Rocky, said this in the beginning. Leadership counts. Leadership totally counts in this space. And what our athletic director at the time said when we sort of approached him with this concept was really key to making the case and continue to be key. And so we kind of told him what the students were about and where we thought we might be able to go with athletics and greening, and he immediately agreed to it because, in his words, what you don't understand is that people don't come here for football or basketball, they come here for community, and this will help create a sense of community. And so it turns out, not coming from the athletic side, but it turns out that this is well known in the athletics field, that what really brings people together around sports is this sense of community. And he saw the connection between that and sustainability, and here we are.
Sarah?
Yeah, so I'm going to say a word that I am really surprised hasn't come up at all on this webinar, because it generally comes up on every webinar and every conversation has recently, but millennials and millennials care. And and I know that those going into college now are a bit younger, but have really started the millennial generation. As both Dave and Rocky noted, students are paying attention to sustainability and sustainability trends, and it's important to them, not only in the universities that they are selecting to go to, but also the corporations that they are looking to support and what they're looking to do, both on their purchasing and consumption as well as where they work. So I think we have people are really caring about these issues, and at the same time you have corporations who are understanding their impact, understanding that they want to do something about that, and understanding that they want to engage with the market right now, and they want to do so in a way that is unique and is aligned with the values that they're trying to espouse. And so, sports is a vertical that always is beneficial for marketing and connecting with people and communities, as Dave mentioned. And if you can come into it in a platform that is a little bit more unique, that is genuine, and that puts them out in front of the competition, then it's valuable to everybody. And I think that with these corporations, identifying the path to engage with millennials through sports and sustainability, and kind of pulling that on the university side at the same time, universities realize and understanding the values that they're trying to espouse to students. You have this kind of perfect storm and tipping point, as you said, of the university athletics engaging in these initiatives, both in a meaningful, on-the-ground impact way as well as a communications way.
Thank you, Sarah. Rocky, would you like to provide our last answer? Okay, I think we lost Rocky's audio. Rocky, would you like to try one more time? Okay, so I think we'll skip Rocky. His phone hung up, and so I will now go to our concluding slide. I would like to thank everyone for attending our webinar today. I'd like to also remind you all that our next webinar will take place in a week on May 17th at 3 p.m. This webinar will feature presenters from the University of London in England and will look at the successes, the lessons learned, and how you can use their ideas to reduce energy consumption at your university's halls of residence. For more information and to register, please visit our newly redesigned website. The schedule of future webinars, workshops, and information about this year's conference can be found on the AASHE website as well. Thank you again to all the panelists for your presentations and a lively discussion and sharing your expertise with us. And thank you everyone for attending. If you have any additional questions after the webinar, remember to email them either to webinars@aashe.org or my personal email, daita.sergi@aashe.org. The recording and presentation materials will be available in the AASHE Campus Sustainability Hub tomorrow, and you'll receive a notification once they're uploaded. Have a good day, everyone.